Hi guys, I am Priya from It's OKR and welcome back to our channel. Today's topic is super interesting because we are going to talk about how to maximize your retirement savings. You must have this question that, well, I don't know if I will be staying in the US. Should I be maximizing my 401k? What options do I have? So I'm going to try to answer all of those questions and come up with a couple of things that you can start implementing to ensure that your savings are maximized for whatever your retirement age might be. Okay, so before we begin, please subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. These are things that I am implementing in my own life, and I'm hoping that sharing this, it will give you an understanding of what works for you, and you can implement a couple of things on your retirement saving strategy. So, first things first, you need to have a goal to understand how much you need to save for retirement. And that can vary depending on when you want to retire and what your goal is. Some people might want to retire in 50, 55, 60, 65, and all of that is going to look different. So, remember, first thing, set a goal and understand when you'd like to retire. So the big question that you might have is, how do I set a goal? How do I come up with that number? How do I know how much I should be saving for retirement? So before we begin talking about the things that you should be doing, we are going to talk about two rules that are going to help you understand what this would look like. The number one rule is 25x rule, and the number two rule is the 4% rule. Now let's understand what each of this means. So let's understand what the 25x rule is. The 25x rule is basically multiplying 25 times your annual expenses today that you will need for the next 30 years of your retirement without worrying that you are going to run out of money. Again, what you need to understand is basic, if you're looking to come up with that number, 80% of what your expenses are today is generally a good rule of thumb for how much money you will need in retirement. So to give you an example, if you think your annual expenses are going to be 50,000 after you retire, just multiply that by 25 and you're going to come up with a 1.25 million number, and that is how much you're going to need for retirement. So let's talk about the 4% rule now. The 4% rule says that you can safely withdraw 4% of your retirement portfolio every year, and this takes into account the inflation. And so you don't have to worry about running out of money if you have the 4% rule. The 25x rule was actually a prerequisite for the 4% rule. Again, if you want to take something away from this, imagine you retire with a $1 million portfolio. The 4% rule says that the first year you can actually withdraw 40,000. The second year, it's going to take into consideration the inflation, whatever that is, 3 to 4%. Let that be $1,200. And next year, you can withdraw 41,200. So every year, you are withdrawing slightly more because it's taking into consideration that inflation, and you still don't have to worry about the fact that you are going to run out of money or anything. The important thing, however, to note here is you have to make sure that the money that you're retiring with, you have to keep that invested in this process. Otherwise, your money is not growing and the inflation is happening. So now that you have calculated the goal for your retirement and how much you need to retire, let's understand what are the things that you must do to get to that number. So the number one thing is determine your monthly savings rate. You need to know how much you need to save every month to actually reach that goal. To come up with a monthly goal number, the one thing that you need to keep in mind is going to be the market return number. Even though your market returns might be much higher right now, you have to keep a conservative goal in mind. And that a golden rule of that is a 6%. So think no matter what the market situation is right now, think that you will only be getting 6% of your investments, how much ever you plan to invest. With that in mind, this is how you can come up with the number. Remember the 1.25 million number I mentioned earlier, which was 50,000 is how much I need when I'm looking to retire. I'm going to multiply that by 25. So 1.25 is how much I need to retire. Now, keeping that 1.25 number in mind and assuming that you get a 6% conservative rate of return from the market, you will need to save about 218,000 over 30 years to reach this hypothetical retirement goal. That works out to be 7266 a year or 605 a month. So literally to get to your 1.25 retirement number, you only need to save 605 a month. Once you have that, it should not be too difficult for you to start saving and start saving now. Again, this was super basic, but there are plenty of calculators available that can help you compound this number as well. So what we'll do is link a couple of those in the description box. We are making no money from it. It's personally the ones that I use, and I'm just going to link it. If interested, you can go check that out. Number two, contribute to your 401k. If you work for a for-profit company, there is a high chance that they have a 401k policy. Try to understand what that match program looks like and what it means and start contributing. It is actually very easy to contribute to it once you understand how it works. Example, you're making $1,000 and you are in a 12% tax bucket. You will still get 880 in your salary and 120 automatically goes to your retirement. So you're literally like from your paycheck kind of reducing a very small amount and it starts going towards your 401k. And it can be something as small as you're comfortable with, but that's how you need to begin if you work for a for-profit company. If you work for a non-profit company, so a school, a government organization, or something like that, you have a couple of other options outside of 401k. That's 403b and 457 plans. So go check that out. You need to remember that the maximum that you can contribute to your 401k has been increased for 2022 and it's now 20,500. Before we go into the second one, it's important for me to call out that I get this question a lot that should I be even using 401k if I plan to leave the country very soon in 6 years after my H1B is done. Yes, I do think that you need to start contributing because when I first came here, I did not use that thinking the same way that I will be going back and I left a lot of free money on the table. Now my situation has changed. I have an I-140 and I want to stay longer in the country. And by not using that, I am basically leaving out free money. What I have realized and doing all of the calculations, even if I end up paying a penalty, that is going to be much lower than losing out on all of the money that my company has to offer. Again, this is important for you to now understand what is your company's 401k policy. I work for Google, I work for tech, so they have a really good matching policy. And by not leveraging that, I'm basically doing a disservice to myself. The same thing now, you need to understand what works for you and for your company and how you need to take advantage of it. But it's never a bad idea to get free money and increase your savings. The next one is meeting your company match. After you've understood how the company match works and how much they kind of match based on your savings, you need to make sure that you are maximizing it. I'm now going to give you an example so that you fully understand how the matching process works. So, to give you an example, let's say I earn $50,000 a year. My company contributes up to 5% of my salary, matching every dollar that I put into my account. So, by investing at least $2,500 into my 401k, I will automatically get another 2,500 from my employer. Thus, my savings is going to become 5,000 and I'm going to get all of those tax benefits. If I don't contribute that 2,500, that means I have missed out on the 2,500 that my company would have matched if only I had contributed 2,500 to my retirement pool. Now, this is what I meant by leaving free money on the table, and that's definitely something that you don't want to do. The next one is opening your own IRA and start contributing there. The maximum for that is 6,000 and can be done in multiple ways. This is again different from the 401k and it gives you an additional account to kind of start building your wealth. The difference between having a 401k and your own IRA is the kind of things that you can invest in. Usually, with a 401k, your investment options are kind of limited. When you have your own IRA, that money can be invested in various different ways. However, the limit is only 6,000. Again, a couple of things to note here is if you are in a super high income bracket, there is a chance you might not be eligible to open your own IRA. However, there is a backdoor IRA that's available. If you're interested in that and you want us to make a video about it, please comment below and I will try to cover that as well. The next one is health savings account. No one talks about it, but I think it is a great way to squirrel away some money for retirement. The great part about this is that it is basically tax-free money. And if you are going to use it for your health coverage treatments in the future, then basically you don't have to still pay any tax on it. So it's this very golden thing that a lot of people don't use. Now let's understand what those limits look like for this. So the individual or the employer contributes up to 7,300 for a family or 3,650 for an individual in 2020. Again, the important part here to remember is it's 100% tax deductible, and the funds unused for medical expenses may continue to grow and invested in time. So to give you a super simple example, if every year I am investing $2,000 in my HSA, I can actually invest that and grow that money. Now, during retirement, if I use that money for my medical savings or any time in the future, I'm not going to be paying any taxes on it. And the money that I contributed here, I'm also not paying any taxes on it. So it's a great way to be super smart and grow your income and use this money for medical expenses, because no matter what you think, this country has a very different healthcare system, and you will definitely need that money during your retirement or in your old age to cover some of the expenses, which are definitely going to be much higher than what it is today. So the important part to remember is HSA is the only savings vehicle which is tax free on the way in and can potentially grow tax free if it's going to be used for your medical expenses. So अगर HSA account नहीं है तो जाओ बनाओ और contribute करो. The next one is automate your savings. It's very simple. जैसे ही salary मिले पहले savings वगैरह कर लो and then try to do your expenses, trip planning, investing, whatever else you need to do, because it's super important to make sure that you're building your nest egg. And the good part about this country is that whatever you are putting in your savings is actually also getting invested and it's growing. So it's a really good way. So make sure, and this is what I definitely do. I get my salary, I first put things in saving, and then I figure out how much I want to spend. The last one is start now. जितना लेट करोगे उतना ज्यादा पैसा डालना पड़ेगा every month. If you remember my initial one, which was 1.25 million अगर चाहिए, and we back calculate, you're only needing to put $605 a month and you can get to your goal. But if you haven't yet started and you keep delaying this process, that 605 number is going to keep increasing. So please delay na kare and start putting money in your retirement funds and start thinking about it today. Guys, I hope this was helpful और आपको पसंद आया. जब मैं फर्स्ट इस कंट्री में आई थी कोई नहीं था मुझे समझाने वाला how this works. So it's literally me trying to read and understand, and this is what works for me. तो अगर आपको पसंद आया, please put in comments. Tell me if you want me to break down any of these terms, and I'm going to do that in a very simple way so that if you're looking to understand what any of this means, you get a good understanding of it. Because it's a very complex place. It's very different from India or anywhere we are coming from. So we need someone to explain us in an easy way how all of this works. I'm happy to do that because I have done it myself. Again, अगर videos पसंद आ रहे हैं तो please like, share and subscribe. Hit that bell icon. Share it with your friends. Share it with someone who you find it helpful with.